Okay guys, now that you're done with your warm-up, you should be watching this video. You're going to go into your learning folder again. Go into the Create Narrative Brainstorming, View Attachment, and you're going to put this into Notability. This will be in the Create section of your Notability. Oops. Okay, the formatting is a little bit odd, but that's okay. Also, if you hear my dog in the background, very sorry. Okay, we're gonna rotate these pages because the formatting is weird. So we're gonna click on this button at the top, then the 3 dots here. We're gonna rotate. Okay. This is strange. I don't know why that got moved from the top. You know what? I'm gonna ignore it. It's fine. All right. Now, this one is if you want to write a personal narrative. So only do this side if you want to write about a story of your own life. This side is for fictional narratives, okay? Remember, as a GT clustered class, you get to choose which one you want to do because sometimes GT kids like to be more creative. They want to make up their own story, okay? However, sometimes they don't want to make up their own story, okay? Sometimes we just want to do a quick personal narrative, which is totally fine. At this moment in time, you're going to choose one or the other and then draw an X on the one you don't want to do. I'm going to start with explaining the instructions for the personal narrative part. So if you would like to fast forward this video, go ahead and do so until I start talking about the next page, okay? We're starting with personal narrative. Okay, the instructions for this one is you have a ton of different writing prompts to kind of brainstorm ideas about your own memories, your own life experiences. You are going to fill out each of these spaces with ideas, and I'm going to do a couple with you right now. So for example, a time I was scared. Well, I can write about the time when I thought my house was haunted. I really did. Okay, let's go to another one. Best friend moment. When my best friends and I traveled together. That would be a fun memory to talk about. I laughed so hard I might skip that one for now because a story doesn't immediately come to mind. A favorite birthday, also hard for me to think of right now, so I might skip that one for now. The time I got in trouble, I'm gonna say it's hard for me. I haven't gotten in trouble in a long time. I'm gonna skip that one too for now. I felt really silly when I dressed up as Hagrid for a Harry Potter movie premiere. And I have pictures to prove it. If someone reminds me when I return, I will definitely show y'all a picture. It was hilarious. Okay, a time I was really sad. Okay. Maybe when one of my friends moved away. As an adult, you can still be sad when you lose your friends. Moved away. Okay. The time I learned how to be a 6th grade teacher. I used to teach high school and then I moved to middle school. Maybe I should put middle school. That would be fun to talk about. I got blank as a pet. Okay, I can write about when I got my corgi Wally. When I adopted Wally at the farm. That would be a good one. Let's do the time I learned a life lesson. I'm gonna skip for now. But basically, y'all get the idea, right? In each space, you're coming up with an idea to write about for your personal narrative. Once all your spaces are filled out, and like I said, some of them you really have to think about. Like I had to skip a few for now that, I could go back to and come up with ideas for. But yours should be completely filled out. And then you are going to circle the one you want to write about. Okay, you look at all of them. Decide which one you have the most ideas about, circle it. And then you're going to fill out this bottom part. So if I'm writing about the time I thought my house was haunted, well, who appears in this memory, in the story? Who are you going to write about? Well, it's going to be me. I thought there was a ghost. I'm going to put ghost, question mark. And then my sister ends up in this memory. I remember calling her. Okay. When is the setting? What is the conflict or goal of the story? So what is your story about? I was home alone. And I started getting suspicious that my house was haunted. I'll leave it at that because I don't have enough room. So that's kind of like where the conflict of my story is. For setting, I kind of skipped because everyone's going to have a different time and place. But for mine, it was at my house. And then this was in college and it was during the summer. It's probably summer of the year 2012. I know, I'm old. And then what is the lesson to be learned from your story? So there always should be a moral of your story. For mine, always be cautious. That's what I'm going to say. Okay? Now you have completed your personal narrative brainstorm. You don't have to do the second page because you're only doing personal narrative, and you can go ahead and submit this. Okay? Now, if you are listening here, that means you are ready to talk about the fictional narrative. So let me erase this. Okay. You decided to not write about yourself, so you put an X here. You decided that you want to write a completely fictional story. Okay. So you are going to come up with who are the characters in your story, okay? Try not to make too many, okay? We are writing a short story. You're not writing a novel. You're not writing a chapter story. Think about the length of 11, the story with Rachel and her sweater. Or think of the length of Al Moon. That was one page. One without the other was a few pages. That's how long I want our stories to be. Ideally, 1 to 2 pages. So all of those grandiose, super creative ideas I know you have, try to narrow it down into a 1 to 2 page story. I know. If I was there, I could probably hear you guys complaining if you guys are the ones writing the fictional stories. Okay. So you're coming up with your characters. All right. I recommend for a good short story, in 11, maybe there are 3 to 5 characters mentioned. the setting, okay, the setting can change in the story, but where are we? Are we in a made up city, kingdom? Where are we? It doesn't have to be fantasy or anything like that. You could just make up a story about a random student at school, but you have to tell me where the story takes place and when. Are we in the future? Are we in the past? Are we in the present? Are you going to give me a specific year? Where and when are we? Okay? Conflict. What's going to be the thing that starts our story? Okay, what's going to be the inciting incident or the main conflict? Okay, so if I'm making up a story about a girl who thinks her house is haunted, just to relate to my personal narrative, a girl is home alone and she starts to suspect her house may be haunted. Okay, my conflict. Skip story title for the end because that could take you forever. What's the theme, okay? What's our story's lesson going to be about? Maybe keep that for the end until you figure out what even you're going to write about. Okay? Beginning of your story, middle of your story, resolution. So this is just going to help us brainstorm the main chunks of what our story is about. And I'm looking for 1 to 2 sentences in each section, okay? What happens in the beginning? For me, it's going to be the girl is home alone. She sees her front door open and she gets scared. She doesn't know what to do. There's going to be some rising action, some events in the middle. But then to the climax, remember, this is going to be the peak of the action. She's going to hear something like a big loud noise upstairs and she's going to go hide somewhere. And she thinks that someone or something is out to get her. So that's going to be like the peak of the action. And then kind of the turning point of the story, because instead of deciding to confront her fears, she instead decides to hide, which is perfectly an okay thing to do. At the end of the story, how is the story resolved? Okay, in my story, she's going to call someone to come help her, and then they're going to come and they're going to look around and see, oh, there's nothing to be scared of, okay? Beginning, middle, end. I write my sentences, then I can go back. Well, what was the theme of my story? I'm going to say it was always be cautious. It's okay to be safe rather than be brave, that sort of thing. Okay, come up with your story title. You can change this later. You don't have to commit, but this whole fictional brainstorm page should be complete. Once again, I know I'm repeating myself. Don't be too ambitious. You're writing a 1 to 2 page story. You are not writing an epic fantasy. But maybe you want to incorporate those elements and just do like an itty bitty version of a fantasy story. That's okay. Okay, you should have nothing in the personal narrative section because you chose to do something else. And you're going to turn this in to Schoology, okay? Please let me know if you have any questions. All right, you can email me or you can ask the sub. I will see you guys on Thursday.